Why does making a hard decision and exercising feel so gosh darn easy for some people and so tremendously difficult for others? Hey, everybody, and welcome back to I Got This podcast with Lex and MGP. My name is Lex. I've been a personal trainer for 7 years now. Martha is my client, and she has been with me for 4 years. Over our time together, she's lost over 60 pounds, and we have learned so much together. We've learned what works, what doesn't work, and more importantly, we've had so much fun doing it. So join us each and every week as we talk about whatever the hell we want. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to I Got This podcast with Lex and MGP. Today, it is just me, Lex. As you guys know, May is a really, really tricky month for us to get through because of all the events and everything that's going on. So Martha and I have had to, kind of switch it up a little bit. So I'm just here with you today. She will be back in June, and I do dearly miss you, MGP. With that being said, I do have a mini episode about something I really found super inspiring when I started to look into it. So I sat down with a client who has been training with me for about a year and a half now. She's been working out consistently 3 to 4 days a week, and it has not been easy for her, but she's seen tremendous, tremendous results. Now, during our last assessment, we sat down and she said to me, Alexis, she said, "Why does it feel so gosh darn difficult for me to work out, but so easy for others?" Right? Or seem or look easy to others. And I had to think about this. The first thing that came to my mind, number one, was, well, obviously genetic predisposition. So the first thing that I thought is, I don't know if you guys know the stat, but it's true. People who have parents who are overweight or obese, their children are more likely to be overweight or obese. Now, this could be nature versus nurture. Either they are genetically predisposed to be this way, or their habits are just unhealthy habits. So that child grows up in a home with unhealthy habits, obviously, right? Whereas a person with fit parents is more likely to have a child with fit bodies and habits, right? Or even genetically predisposed to be more fit. Now, that's the obvious answer, right? The person who grew up being, going to track practice or swimming practice or whatever, they're going to find exercises easy because they grew up doing it, or easier, right? Whereas the person who never exercised finds it much harder because it was never a part of their life experience. That was the first thing that I thought of. And then I thought about, yes, the genetics involved, right? There's, people who have parents who are cyclists, marathon runners, right? All of those things are going to generally have kids with better cardiovascular health. Whereas my dad was a power lifter when he was growing up, and I find weightlifting very, very easy naturally. Or is that because I grew up and my parents took me to the gym to lift weights and taught me how to do it? I'm not sure. I really don't know. But that was my first thought. And then I started to do a little bit more research on this topic. And there's a lot of layers here, tons and tons of layers here. But I found it's a perspective, which is what this podcast is solely about, perspective, which really caught my eye. And it was one thought that I wanted to bring to the table. Now, we all know that we process experiences in different ways, right? So we could both go to a farmer's market, and you could go and say, "Oh, I saw so many beautiful flowers and I had the most fabulous time. It was raining outside and I just love the rain. So I walked around in the rain and saw all these beautiful flowers." Where I could go to the farmer's market, and this is a true fact, and it could be raining, and I could go and I could say, "Oh, the farmer's market was disgusting. It was raining outside and I don't even like plants and it was dirty and I had not the greatest experience," right? So we could do the same exact thing and have a completely different experience. It could be based on the mood that you're in. It could be based on your overall perspective, similar to somebody who sees a glass half full or a glass half empty. One of my favorite examples is a text message, right? When you read a text message, most of the time, you read it based on the mood that you're in. So for example, if I get a text that says, "Okay," with a period at the end, and I'm in a really bad mood, of course I'm going to say that person is mad at me, or they're just being a gosh darn, BITCH, right? I'm like, why are they saying it like that? Or I could be in a great mood. I could say, I'm super happy today. My perspective is super positive. I'm feeling energized. And I get a text that says, okay, with a period. And I read it as okay or okay, right? So basically, perspective is everything. You read a text message based on how you're feeling. So that's why they're so dangerous. It's nothing new that we don't know. It's the truest thing in the world. So when we think of exercise, this or even eating healthy, we can perceive it based on how we want to, or even how we were taught to perceive it. Now, again, there's so many layers that I'm not a psychologist. I don't know how to dig on into this in the deeper levels. So some people will say you left this out, this out, this out. I'm not saying I know all the levels. I'm just saying this is what I found. I found it super interesting. So this is something super interesting. So somebody who counts calories, this is on the front of nutrition, or a dieter actually sees an apple as larger than they actually are. So what's super funny is we perceive things based on our focus, okay? And our eyes can truly focus on only one thing at a time. I want you to look in front of you. Okay, look, if you're driving in your car, I want you to look at the car in front of you, okay? Do you see everything around you clearly, or does it seem a little bit blurry? It seems a little bit blurry, right? I'm looking right in front of me and I see a candle. And in that candle, I see the fire burning, but everything around it does seem a little bit blurry. So, how does this relate to seeing exercise as more positively, right? So, it's kind of funny. This is true. People who are out of shape tend to perceive exercise as overall more difficult than people who are less fit. That's obvious. Duh. Obviously, this is not something that we would seem to think would be incorrect, right? But how does our focus and our perception affect exercise? So they did a study, and I'll again post the link. It's a TED Talk that I listened to that says if you keep, so it studied two different groups of people. Okay. It was studied, two different groups of people, and they had them run or walk from distance A to distance B. Distance B was the finish line. The first group, they did not instruct anything. They just said walk from distance A to distance B. Okay. And then the second group, they said, I want you to walk from distance A to distance B. And at the end of B, I want you to keep your eye on the prize, that finish line. Okay. And it was super interesting that the second group, which they told them to focus on the end goal, it changed their experience to a more positive experience. And they were 23% faster than the first group. Now you would say, well, maybe people who are lighter or have more health would make this same, say, okay, well, what about that factor? Well, the second test they did was they added 30-pound ankle weights to the second group. And they said, keep your eye on the prize and move towards the goal. They said that they still had a very positive experience and they still walked 23% faster than the group that did not have a focus. Now, it is true. Some people see exercise as easier than others. Now, when I sat down with this client previously, I thought, well, obviously this person is going to start to like to exercise because it's getting easier for them and they're going to see all the benefits. They're going to feel better after every single time they work out. And now this does happen for most of my clients as they start to get good at exercise because people like what they're good at. They start to want to exercise more. They say, I want to go as a stress reliever. I want to go because it feels good. I want to go because it has become my habit. But the people who still think that exercise is difficult for them, the people who go and say, I feel sweaty when I leave, my muscles hurt, and now I'm starting to get like aches and pains because I'm working out harder, because I can do more things, they have a more negative experience. Now, we can train our eyes and our brain and our focus to see the lighter side of things. And so the question is, how do you do that? How do you see the glass half full? Again, it goes back to genetics, right? Some people have an easier time seeing the glass half full and the glass half empty based on, I don't know, genetics or predisposition to their lifestyle or their parents or whatever, right? but you can train your brain. You can train your brain to look forward to things that don't always seem enjoyable. You can train your brain to see the glass half full, and you can train your brain to focus on certain things. So the entirety of this episode is to say, hey, I know exercise is harder for some people than others, especially when you're starting. When you're starting and you haven't worked out for 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years, or you've gotten off the train where it was like really easy and now it's hard because you stopped for so long. I know it's hard. But if you just change that perspective into a more positive experience, I guarantee that focus, that end goal, I guarantee you're going to enjoy it just a little bit more. Now, this is definitely a topic that I want to continue with Martha, but I definitely want to bring it to the table, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts and feelings on this. I know for me personally, not every single time I work out is a super positive experience, but I do know that we can change the way we look at everything in life, and we have that opportunity because we can change our mind, and that's the one thing that we have control over. It's our mind, our thoughts. Not always our feelings and emotions, but we can change how we're thinking. So guys, please drop some thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. I got this.
Hey guys, thanks for listening this week. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. For more I Got This content, please make sure to follow, like, and share on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or you can always go to our website, igotThisPod.com, for more info. As always, thanks for listening. See you next Monday.